Hello guys and welcome back to the Sportsman Untitled Extra. Our big game preview for this week is Birmingham City versus Leicester City on Saturday afternoon. And Gab, Birmingham have actually found a bit of form, unbeaten in 5. Last defeat came on New Year's Day to Watford, the longest unbeaten streak in the Championship, along with Middlesbrough.
Yeah, pretty impressive. I'm encouraged by the impact that some of our new additions have made, because I definitely felt in the first half of the season that in our away form, away from home, we were a little bit timid, a little bit passive, didn't really impose ourselves on games in the same way that we did at St Andrews. But I'm quite encouraged that Kai Wagner, who was a star player in the MLS, has made an impact. We've also signed Jon Solis, Ibrahim Osman, players at August Priest that I think can make a difference to us, and I'm excited at the injection of pace and athleticism into the team, and I'm hopeful that's going to make the difference.
Yeah, and this home game against Leicester looks to be a relatively kind one given the situation Leicester find themselves in, managerless at the time of recording, and we don't know where they're going to move next. Ben, what do you think they should do in the managerial market?
I don't know what they can do. I mean, we're never short of, lemmings to jump off cliffs, are we? In terms of out of work managers who want to get back in. But we've mentioned before about the kind of instability there at Leicester, and what sort of hire would they make, Simon? Do you want a firefighter for the rest of the season and accept just stay in the division and then review it in summer? That strikes me as the only real option, and then that comes at a pretty hefty premium, doesn't it, in terms of the type of contract you're going to have to give someone that feels short term, and the type of salary that will be needed to get someone to agree to that. But it's a year one parachute team if you can get through this season and have a clean bill of health next season. But you've got a fight on your hands from now, because I'm sure you're about to tell me how many points they are above the bottom three, with a sanction potentially still coming down the road.
Well, it's 9 at the time of recording, but we are recording before the Tuesday midweek fixtures. So
what's the worst case scenario then? Blackburn could win and Pompey could win as well, and Oxford could win.
It could look very bad, and obviously we talk about the points deduction, which doesn't seem to be coming every time we mention it. Devon doesn't ever seem to happen. Gab, names in the frame, and it doesn't seem like the bookies have any idea what's going on looking at the odds. A few names in the frame though for the Leicester job. Russell Martin, obviously Championship experience and a Championship promotion on his CV, let's not forget.
Yeah.
Chris Coleman, Andy King looks likely to be the easy option right now. And an outside name that I want to throw in there, John Dale Thomason. Just been, not just, but left the Sweden job, experienced at Blackburn. His team's played very exciting attacking football. I think he did a reasonably decent job there for the majority of his time at Ewood Park.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind seeing him back in the Championship. How about you?
Yeah, I think he's a very good coach. I think some of the patterns of play we saw from Blackburn Rovers under Thomason, we saw a clear identity from them, and they looked like a team that could create chances. I also want to kind of throw at you the idea of bringing back Nigel Pearson for 16 games just to steady the ship, because if it's a big point deduction for Leicester, they are going to be looking at a bit of a dogfight, and they could do with somebody who can galvanise the club. Now maybe they think Andy King can be that person, and maybe if he gets a few more games he might
Quickly, Gab, sorry, are we giving Andy King a pass for the weekend because of the red card early in the game? We can't really judge anything
my thought
yet.
process.
Continue, mate, sorry.
Yeah, so I suppose Nigel Pearson, he's been successful at the club before. I wouldn't be thinking of him as a long-term option, but just as someone to steady the ship while the club's in this state of crisis with question marks of Top and John Rudkin, could do with somebody who can just be that authoritative presence and bring everyone together.
I'm really, really fighting the urge not to call you an ostrich and do the Nigel Pearson impression, but I'm going to resist.
Cheers, Nigel.
Any names that catch up? Do you think we're going to see Russell Martin back in the Championship at some point? He feels like a name. Every single managerial vacancy, he's near the top of it. At what point is the club actually going to go for him?
Probably in the summer, you would think. I can see it being Andy King, can't you?
Yeah,
if
I think that's most likely.
Somebody inside already. I mean, it would have been great for him to get the debut in, as we mentioned, against Charlton. Yeah. But we'll see if there's new manager splat or a new manager bounce coming. But albeit a difficult game that we're talking about.
Absolutely. Birmingham, we'll just get the home and away tables up, because Birmingham have been decent at home this season, Gab, all season. They've currently ranked 6th 14 games played, 7 wins, 6 draws, only 1 home defeat. We talked recently about the disparity between the home form and the away form, but the away form's actually been corrected recently with 2 wins on the trot, 2 clean sheets, albeit against relegation candidates. Do you have hope moving forward that Birmingham can permanently correct the away form and therefore push towards the playoffs? Because at home you're a playoff team.
Yeah, I'm hoping so. I think signing other strikers or forwards who can add to the squad and bring that freshness to it, I think is going to be important. I think for a long time we've relied on Marvin Deutsch and the impact that he can have on Jay Stansfield's performances, but I think with August Priest coming in, you do have that option to rotate the two. Whereas for Hashi, I don't think Kyogo's been as bad as has been suggested. He's been, struggled to find the net for a long time, but he's a different type of player, and so the dynamic is very different. I think with the fresh pace that's been added to the team and the creativity, Gil Vicente as well will be another one that I'm excited about. She had a lovely touch for the second goal at Oxford, I think it was. I think there's some positive signs. I think it's still to be seen how we do away from home against some of the better teams.
Absolutely. And Birmingham are only 5 points off the playoffs. It's not an unachievable gap, is it, for them to close down, especially with their decent home form, Ben? Can they be that team? And I mentioned it earlier in the week on our big show that they could be the team to close that gap. How do you see them right now?
Potentially, I suspect, Gab can speak for an actual Birmingham fan, I suspect Birmingham fans are probably quite enjoying this point in the season where it feels like they're not the most talked about team in the Championship. And Chris Davis, we felt the weight and the pressure lift off his shoulders literally as he's going around the pitch after that win against Coventry, where it was, that was threat level high, wasn't it, before the international break if he loses that one. I just see a calmer, more considered person who's been around the Championship washing machine for a few months and he's really learnt the gig. They seem to have recruited well. The problem is if they win a few games, they'll immediately become the most talked about team in the Championship game. So I think the best case scenario for Birmingham would be just nice and steady towards the end of the season rather than, say, banging 7 wins on the trot on the board.
Do you know what it is, though, Ben? Our owners at Knighthead and Tom Wagner, they're extremely ambitious.
Are they?
And they have ridiculously high standards for the club, which is such a positive thing in lots of ways, because for a long time the standards have been on the floor and we'd had no transparency and no sense of purpose, and we'd just been there in the Championship for a long time, and that's not the case now, which is lovely. At the same time, one of the minor challenges is because the ownership dictates the ambition and expectation rather than the fan base.
Rightly so.
Which is, rightly so, but also that's quite rare because normally it's the fan base that's saying we should be this, that and the other, and the ownership has to bring it down a bit. But at Birmingham it's more dictated by Knighthead. That can sort of intensify things a little bit, and that's brought some challenges for Chris Davis. But I'm hopeful that with the right additions, which the early signs are positive, we can move forward.
I think we should have a little word about Leicester as well before we do our score predictions, because they've lost 3 out of 4, 3 defeats and 1 draw in their last 4. Ben, we talked about their individual quality at the start of the season, especially Fatawu, and I think Jordan James actually has had a reasonable season. But I don't think they're doing enough on the whole. And those individual players, I think, are actually letting Leicester down as well as the rest of the squad right now. They've got enough quality to get themselves clear of danger. They're not finding any wins at the minute, and they are sliding closer and closer, as we mentioned, to the relegation zone. If they are to get a result this weekend, they need those individual players to start producing something.
Yeah, it feels like they're not doing enough, and it feels like we're not doing enough if we keep having the conversation, because they're not delivering. And we were talking about Hackney on the show earlier in the week. Abdel Fatawu has 30 appearances this season. He's played in every game, and it feels a bit unfair to put it all on him. But we have him as a talisman who can get you promoted if he's sort of playing well. Looking at fixtures coming up after this one for Leicester, they face Southampton twice. It just happens so often, doesn't it? Where you get the FA Cup draw. They go to Stoke, they go to Middlesbrough, they face Norwich, and then they face Ipswich. And I'm sure Leicester fans who are a little bit negative on life at the moment can paint a quite low points total from that. If Andy King, he's got the bad start, he's been afflicted by the red card, lost at home to Charlton, which probably would have been hope, right, okay, 3 points on the board straight away. They're going to have to turn up against some teams who are either in form, have a parachute payment and a good squad, or up at the top of the table. And if they don't do that, and then as you've been forecasting literally every week, then a -5, 7, 3, 9, whatever number goes on, they are bang in trouble, aren't they?
Yeah, I've been singing the Leicester relegation song and called biased for it as well, which I completely understand.
2 things can be true.
2 things are true, but I just have alarm bells for Leicester City right now, and we should come to our score predictions then for this game, because I think we're probably all going to lean the same way. I'm certainly going to go for a Birmingham City home win. I'm going to go for a 2-0 in this one, Gab. How do you see it going?
I'm going to go 1-0. I think maybe Leicester make a bit of a fight of it, because there could be a bit of an impact for Andy King, but I would back us to maybe utilise our squad in the second half and maybe get that goal.
You going to make it a hat-trick, Ben, or are you going to...
Well, I won't. I'm going to completely contradict myself, because I was going to say 1-0, like Gab said. So let's go for the individual quality to get Leicester a point. But it could be be that, and it could be I'll go for a 1-1. But I don't see Leicester going there and winning. And I think you tell me, you'd be disappointed as a Birmingham fan. As you say, with Leicester somewhat of a wounded animal, not to take the home win.
Yeah, absolutely. And Gab, that home form is probably what can take Birmingham close to the top 6. Where do you think Birmingham are going to end up in the table at this point as we sit on February the 1st?
No, that's a great question. I think we can finish above Stoke, QPR, Bristol City and Preston. I don't know about... Watford have a really talented squad. Can depend who they appoint. I think Derby... I'm going to say we finish 8th.
Okay. That's very steady. That is very steady. We've run out of time.
Can I just ask Gab a question?
Go for it.
What would Birmingham fans have said if I told them in February to be 10 places below Hull?
Oh no.
Confused.
Yeah, confused. How big was the instant relegation to League One? I think they'd have asked. Yeah. Right, thank you both for joining me. Let us know your score predictions in the comments down below. Do like and subscribe, and we'll be back with the full Sportsman Untitled show to reflect on this result and all the others across the weekend on Monday. We'll see you then.